And welcome back once more, guys. We do apologize once more for that delay, but we are back to the North American ESL Go4GuildWars2 Monthly. We are already at the grand finals here, and once again, the Absurd is going to be facing off against a newcomer team. It is going to be a team that is led by Backpack, however, and because of that, there is quite an interesting factor that we just talked about before that could be coming into play here, which could potentially make this team the one to finally beat the Absurd and knock them out of a Go4GuildWars2 Monthly.
Yeah, is Backpack going to be able to utilize his knowledge of the Absurd in order to overcome their opponent, seek victory, or are they just going to make more headway than anyone has before, take a map off and really make it a close series? We'll have to see if they find any success at all. This is the Absurd, after all, a team that is leading by a grand margin in the North American scene. Everyone is in the map right now. Let's go ahead and jump on in, take a look at our opening lineups. Blue, let's start with our red team.
All right, so as we take a look once again, guys, you know them, you love them, or you hate them. It's really up to you. It's the Absurd, the absolute juggernaut here in North America, so far failing to lose a single weekly cup, at least as far as my knowledge goes here, and most definitely failing to lose a single monthly cup so far. They are looking to keep their title once again this month for, I believe, it's the 6th time in a row now that they would be keeping their title rolling. So if they can keep it going for half a year, that's going to be a pretty big achievement for them. But we're going to have to wait and see, of course. First off is going to be Magic Toker / Dustin running with Dagger, Offhand Pistol, Shortbow as well. Runes of Vampirism with a Berserker's Amulet, and the traits being 60206. Going to be that Panic Strike Thief once again that we've seen a few times already today. Phantom is running on a DPS Guardian, so again, that very sustainable DPS within team fights. Wakey over here running off of a Shoutbow at the moment here, so again, a lot of decent support, kind of acting as a tank in those mid fights too. 5 gauge running on the Celestial Rifle build. We'll run with Runes the Hullbreak there, so once again, going to go for that power stacking as well as, again, a little bit more of a defensive version of this build. Last but not least, of course, is going to be Nas playing on the Power Necro. Dagger, Offhand, Warhorn, Staff, along with the Runes of the Pack, Berserker's Amulet, a 62006 trade split.
Of course, watching out for him to perform. Now, this is something we're familiar with, isn't it?
Yeah.
Usual Absurd lineup.
Absolutely. Nas, of course, is the very, very, very key player in this team. He does have Plague Form on at the moment. Again, I haven't actually been around for the previous 2 cups. I'm not sure if this has been a change that he has made on his own or not. I'm pretty sure he just has this on to Trolls a little bit, and we'll actually are going to see him switch to Lich. Again, Lich has been the absolutely crucial part of this build time and time again, but we'll have to wait and see. And again, keep in mind, too, that when they do take him down, he still rolls with this, rolling with Death's Embrace here at the moment, too. So when he falls into the down state, he's going to do arguably even more damage than when he does, or apologies, he's not arguably do even more damage than he does when he is alive, too. So because of that, he's a very, very key player to the
Strike me down.
Absurd, basically, yeah.
And I shall become more powerful than you could ever imagine.
Pretty much. It's going to be Obi-Wan Kanasi, if that's the best amalgamation.
Good try.
Wasn't
Points
the
for
best.
effort, but not a very punnable name.
And of course, as we move over to the guys on Risky Business too, Backpack is actually switching off of his NG. He's going to be playing Shoutbow as well. Sunfish is going to be playing on DPS Guardian. Magnemite playing on Celestial NG. Running with Vamp Runes instead of those Hullbreak Runes, however. Stalacta running on Dagger, Celestial Ellie. And then the last but not least is going to be Anya, who was an absolute dominator in that previous game. We'll look for him to repeat the same thing in this set.
Now, Anya. Is Anya going to be able to find that success here against the lineup that the Absurd has brought?
Say that one more time, sorry.
Is Anya going to be able to perform the same way we were watching in the previous series?
I don't think that's going to be the case simply because there's a counter thief on the other team that I think is going to be very strong against him. Magic Toker has quite a bit of a talent for dueling other thieves, and he's had there's been quite a lot of trouble among North American thieves of actually finding someone who can successfully best Magic Toker in a lot of 1v1s before. And again, Anya was looking very promising. If he can pull that into this set as well, then there is that chance that he could knock out Magic Toker. But that's going to be the big key. If he can beat out Magic Toker in a lot of these team fights and take him out of the equation, then we'll see Anya once again probably just destroy the competition. But if that's not the case and we see domination coming out here from Magic Toker, then it might get a little bit rough here for the guys on Risky Business.
Now we have to watch out for something that we were talking about a little earlier, which is that on a team like Backpacks, you see success the previous time. Is he going to be able to lead his team and keep them even, keep them from getting too greedy, as it were, keep Anya from getting overconfident?
I think the switch of Backpack moving off of his NG over onto a Warrior, which is arguably a more tanky build, I think that answers your question right there, in that, yes, they're going to be playing a lot more preservatively in this game. They know it's the Absurd, they know that they can't stretch themselves as thinly simply because the Absurd will punish that a lot more harder than Genesis would have. So keeping that in mind, the switch up to a Warrior, and overall, I think with Backpack knowledge of the strategy, we'll see much more preservative play coming out from Risky Business in hopes of just sort of maintaining the status quo instead of trying to push the envelope to a point where they wouldn't be able to retrieve it later on.
That isn't gonna be too passive, though, is it?
That is a good point. That is part of the risk here, is the fact that if they play too passively, then they're going to give the Absurd too much room, and there could be all sorts of backcaps. They could leave them way too much room to breathe in a team fight, and it could turn against them to hurt them. They've got to basically find the right mix of aggression as well as I'm trying to think of a adjective that relates to passive. Well, basically a good combination of aggressiveness and as well as passiveness to
find the balance.
Yeah, basically.
You must be balanced in all things.
Absolutely. Like someone said in chat earlier, but you're living up to it. You are literally my thesaurus for this evening for when I can't come up with words for stuff. It's a gift.
Well, that's the thing. You have to try and I try and simplify everything down as much as I can to whatever core element I feel like drives something. Because like tempo, for example, being in control and dictating the pace of whatever you're doing to anyone else, you have every advantage in that situation, and you're seeing how a nice opening move from the Absurd might be able to set some tempo. His Backpack is down. You got 5 gauge down, though.
Not much Backpack could have done against that, so he's going to fall down pretty quickly. But that's also another big deal here, too, is that this was basically an even trade. They both did essentially the exact same thing, but the big key difference is that the Absurd did send someone to mid instead of a contrasting, basically keeping everyone over here at the mine and only one person at their home point. They'll both clear them out at virtually the same time, but we will still see the caps tied up at 1 versus 1. I do want to note, though, that Nas is currently not fighting at the midpoint here right now, and without him, I think that the guys on Risky Business have a lot of free room to move around, as they don't have to worry about that big damage coming in. The key, however, is going to be that when Nas gets there, they've got to be ready for it. And I do want to note that Nas is actually playing with Plague right now, too.
I was about to say just the same thing. He's still got the Plague on, so why is he going to be doing that? This is a big change-up for him, isn't it?
Not necessarily. I think, again, he's just... I would like to say that Lich at this point has become more of a gimmick than anything. With the way the stability changed, it's sort of like, yeah, if you can secure it well enough, it can work, but instead of doing that, you might as well keep yourself tied to, okay, the Plague is an absolute working thing, basically, that's going to help these guys out. Plague is never going to fail for these guys. It's always going to pull off the ability. The problem with the Lich is that there is a lot of if factors that come into play when you pop that one off, and it's a very, very situational. Is this a good time to pop a Lich? Is it not a good time? Never really a bad time to pop a Plague in most situations, as long as you know the base mechanics.
Now we do have Nas 1v1ing against Anya. We're going to see if Anya's going to be able to live up to the hype and stay that dominating force in this series, going stealth a little bit. Getting right up behind Nas, and is going to look for that damage, but is it going to be enough? Are they going to be able to save Kaze? Because Kaze is getting rather low right now. And there he goes right into the down state.
Selecta going down at this point. Anya's going to see if he can save anything, being very careful not to get too close. Instead, Nox decides, in the event that Nox decides to drop something like a well bomb, and you can see here, too, the cleave he's trying to bring in. Anya, though, quick to turn it around with the assistance of another teammate. He's going to take 5 gauge down. Quick stomp coming out from Anya. It connects, and they're going to be able to get their teammate back up. Stalacta's life owes it to Anya right now. And just like that, now the blue team is getting themselves back into the mix. They're going to try to turn this team fight around, but they are struggling to get caps right now. And with a completely decapped Henge, they've got to make it start right over here at the Henge.
Although they are going to force Nos down and back. He's going to be able to deal quite a bit of damage in the downstick we were talking about, but he's just in full flight. You're seeing all of the members of Absurd just giving ground, and then they're going to maybe even re-engage. This is a confusing situation. Explain this to me. I don't understand what's going on.
Red team, this is often what happens when a team loses a member, or when overall here a team is starting to lose ground. They'll slowly push back while continuing to fight in the event that someone on the aggressing team overextends, and they can turn the team fight around from that point forward. That's basically what the guys in the Absurd are trying to do. Unfortunately, it is not going very well at all, and in fact, they're just continuing to get punished. Now you've seen Phantom go down. We'll finally see if the Absurd go for that cap at their home point, but unfortunately, because they did this just recently, this lead is a lot smaller than it could have been at this point because they've chosen to remain so greedy. And at this point, too, they might actually end up giving up the midpoint with Stalacta rushing up to this one. Might be able to get the decaps up to 5 gauge right now. Thankfully, he's got that leap, so we'll be able to stop that from happening. but if things continue on the way they are, it is very likely that Selecta can decap versus 5Gage and the rest of the Abjured here at mid fairly shortly if the mine fight goes well.
And you're seeing points coming back a little bit for Risky Business. This is a place where they can start grabbing that tempo and getting the control of this. What else do they need to do to keep the Abjured on the back foot and keep them from being able to recover and just get that lead back or get some kind of tempo back for them to roll away with?
And I think that the key here, at least, I think that basically what you're saying, the key here for the Abjured is going to be, in my opinion, like I said, it's just going to be trying to maintain the status quo. They need to, I think that they need to, this is actually a really hard situation just because it's not like the Abjured to lose again here. The last time we saw them really in a hugely disadvantaged situation such as this was back at WTS. So for the Abjured, I think the big thing right now for them is going to be just getting back control of the situation and trying to see what they can work for right there, because unfortunately they have been outmatched right now. They are doing a good job of rotating, however, and this does give them a lot of ground to work with, and it allows them to maintain their lead to some degree. They will still lose it eventually with the way that things are currently trending, but I do still like their momentum around the map, as they have still managed to juke the guys on Risky Business time after time after time again, still allowing them to keep at the very least one cap in their favor.
And also that point lead, they do have 184 points against the 160 of Risky Business, and while Risky Business seems to be dictating quite a bit to their opponent, the Abjured are able to hold on by still gaining points. And that's where they're going to come out in this, because you can get all the kills you want, but at the end of the day, if you can't get those cap points, you cannot stay ahead or take any advantages away from your opponent. The Abjured is going to be able to stay in the series against points.
Now Fentarem falls down over here as well. He's going to get eliminated. Blue team is continuing that onslaught. They're going to try to transfer it over here to Magic Toker. Thankfully, Magic Toker was able to evade this one, get out of harm's way. Again here, big contributor to the fact that the Abjured is still in this game is going to be the fact that, again, they still got that 2 cap. This is where I was a little bit worried about Risky Business, is they are focusing a little bit too much on the team fight and not so much on countering out the rotation, just because it always seems like the Abjured gets a lot of their strength from team fights, even though they've got good rotations too, so they need to find the way around that one. And they might have thankfully just secured it, apologies. Right now, the position that they're fighting in is beautiful. As you're seeing, it's basically forced them to regroup. They can't sneak anyone towards the mine because they're fighting right by where the sneak spot would essentially leave them to come out at. And now, because of this, the Abjured has been forced to regroup. And finally, we're going to have a solid lead coming out for the guys on Risky Business.
And we also are looking at a 3v3 in the mid. Stealth up.
Blue team is not ready for this at all, though.
No, you can see also that Nos is going to join the fight. I think that's going to really influence this, especially Anya needs a little distance.
Oh, no,
they're just going to go to Nos. What?
Nos drops the wells as a defensive mechanism there, but he's completely overextended right now. Anya goes in. Thankfully, Auto Fear comes out for Nos to keep him alive in this one. Going to try to pop off what his can. His heal is actually going to connect there. No interrupt as the rest of his teammates will attempt to come in and save his life, but now you are going to see Anya jumping in there too. Nos is immobilized. We see the jump shot take him into the downstate. He's an absolutely crucial player. SR is coming out. I believe it's their team. It thinks that they're going to be able to save him, but he's overextended himself, and this is going to be a huge gain for the guys on Risky Business, that they might have just thrown his life away.
Although Anya barely trying to escape, Anya can he do any work? Will go down to the downstate. Nos is downed, but should be able to get back up. There are not enough members of the team here for this fight. They need that 5th member. Although, wow, Fentarem waking in Nos as a second. And Anya's able to just walk away from the fight. What is this? I've never seen anything like this at all.
Nos, Wakey, and Fanta all dead right now. Good job by Magic Toker. He was able to get out of that team fight, but again, he's got nowhere to run to right now. Actually, I take that back, as we still have seen here too. 5Gage was able to come over here, beat Stalacta in another 1v1, and has taken that one away. Magic Toker is going to gate on Sunfish as well. Only has the support of Magna right now, so they do have an even fighting gauge, but again, the guys on Risky Business have still been able to out-rotate them, and now back over here at the Henge, they'll still hold on to that 2 cap, despite the Abjured finding a way out of avoiding it all at 3 cap.
But the Abjured still holding in points. They aren't done yet. They can take a moment, step back, and re-engage when it makes some sense. But every member of the team is up right now, and we are seeing a fight happening on the east side of the map near that mine.
You'll see here, too, that, again, the Abjured is starting to get some of their own momentum back here. Sunfish has fallen down. The boss gets pulled, though, by Sunfish. He's just trying to get some chaos added into the mix here right now. It's actually going to take Backpack down here, I believe. That's a double kill for the Abjured. The Abjured need to get the heck out, or apologies, not the Abjured. Risky Business needs to get the heck out of here right now, otherwise this is going to be absolutely brutal for them, and we'll just have the Abjured make their comeback happen once again. In fact, it's already happened with this boss kill coming out. They've got the lead back, and they have managed to bring things down to a 1-1 cap scenario.
And also Mag is in the downstate. Might even leave him sitting Oh, sitting alone in the back, just wasting a little bit of time. Make it so it takes as long as he can to spawn. They're going to leave him. Anya in the mid getting feared. All alone, looking for someone out on one of these flanks, and it's going to begin transitioning over to take down 5Gauge, a 2v1 situation. And 5Gauge is, well, he's just going to fall back from this one.
Basically, they will let the blue team have their one cap. What's important right now for the Absurd, this is probably one of the closest matches the Absurd has faced in a long time, so what has to be going through their minds right now is, okay, let's sit back, let's try to play this as safe as possible and just stick to the 2 cap. Don't try to extend to that 3 cap unless we absolutely know we're going to get it for free, and even then, think about that one for a little bit. So
look at Anya in the mid, though. Anya in the mid is trying to deal with 5Gauge, but taking a lot of damage, and Nos, I think, saw it coming and was going to go for something, but now we've got a 2v2 advantage to the Absurd in this fight. Will backup arrive? We've got Sunfish there now, making it a 3, and Nos dragging him up into that midpoint as reinforcements are going to arrive and make this fight a 2v3, but it's just back and forth.
Anya again here getting kill after kill with some assistance from his teammates there. Nos has got that plague, but the Immobe's coming off from Magnemite as well as Sunfish there. They're not going to let Nos go absolutely anywhere. He's going to go down. 5Gauge has been killed as well here in just a second. Risky Business will have the 2 cap, and once again, they'll be on their way to making a comeback happen. There is a little bit of a risk, again, when you take a look at what's happening here at the mine. A little bit of extra aggression, in my opinion, with Stalacta, but it is going to keep Magic Toker as well as Wiki off of the mid and allow them to maintain this 2 cap for a little bit longer. No decap's going to come out there, and Stalacta surrounded in a 3 versus 1. If there was ever going to be a chance for it to retreat, it has to be right now. Otherwise, again, we might find ourselves in the same situation which gave the Absurd back the lead just a few moments ago.
They are regrouping K's, getting healed up a little bit, and we could see the re-engage very soon. But at the Henge, we have that cap, 5Gauge, able to get some control. You can see how the Absurd are staying ahead, even though these fights don't look like they're going for them. 419 points, 395. To Risky Business, still in the lead, even if we're seeing these great plays by players like Anya with the assistance of Sunfish.
It could potentially come down to a boss at the end of the day, basically, here, and this is going to be that important factor. But the Absurd, once again, the rotational power not shying at all right now, as they once again have a 2 cap over the 400-point mark here, too, which is the absolutely crucial thing to keep in mind this late into the game. Blue team is trying to get it back right now, but they're starting to lose their players here. Backpack gets ganked by Dustin, Pantaram, as well as Nos. Backpack's going to fall down to that as well. Anya's recapping the mine right now, but he's not going to be able to hold it. He has to run from this one, and mid is stalemated right now, so unless we can see Risky Business do something absolutely extraordinary right now, we might still end up seeing the Absurd take this game.
It's 462 right now. It's way too close to those 500 points. 407 for Risky Business. They would need an absolutely insane play in order to take this back. Looking at the Henge, it's going to be a 2v2. I don't see it. I think the Absurd are going to be able to slip this one
Hold on, though.
from Risky Business.
They don't have it just yet, as they just have decapped their 1 point right now. The Absurd has nothing to work with here, but again, unfortunately, Anya does not want to engage 1 versus 1 against Nos. That point gets handed over to the Absurd. We're trying to see where he is moving over to. Stalacta's gone down back over here in the mid-courtyard. SR mispositioned. Actually, no, that was Dustin's SR, so the SR is actually going to go down the right spot. They're trying to save Stalacta's life, but again, in all of this effort of trying so hard to focus on teammates, they're going to give up cap after cap after cap, and this will hand over enough of a lead now to where we are going to see the Absurd just barely, by the skin of their teeth, to be completely honest, take control of map number 1. So the final score looks like it's going to be 500 to 415. The Absurd will start off this set ahead of their opponents on Risky Business, and will now be only 1 more map away from winning once again for 6 months in a row the Go4GuildWars2 monthly.
And that's focus right there. Staying focused on the objective, not getting carried away with those fights, because you can see how back and forth they were. Backpack really knowing that team and knowing how they should engage. Anya, again, performing on top and able to, would you say it was carrying that time?
I would definitely say it was more of a team effort that time around. I would argue to say that Genesis wasn't as much of a risk for these guys as the Absurd was, and because of that, Anya wasn't doing as many crazy things that time around. Anya was playing a much safer game, and that's very well warranted too. I mean, Anya got a little bit egotistical, I would have to say, in the Genesis game. It was like he knew his limits basically, and he was just showing off, I would think, to some degree. But it was working. I mean, it was getting things done for his team. This time around, playing things much safer against the Absurd, basically trying to keep the status quo and make sure that him and his team were staying alive. And that was the big theme for the guys on Risky Business, is making sure that the team was secure, making sure that everybody was still alive, making sure they stuck together as a single unit and overpowered the Absurd, which is that full 5-man force. And it worked, but the big problem was the rotations from the Absurd. Absurd did an absolutely fantastic job of out-rotating Risky Business, and at the end of the day, that is what handed them the victory. So heading on to map number 2, the guys over here on Risky Business need to find a way around that, otherwise it might just end up being, again, a 2-0 for the Absurd.
Well, it's kind of hard to do that. We are in game right now. Taking a look at these lineups from either team, we do have Nos to start off on the red team. What do we have for the Absurd, Mr. Blue?
We actually just got a couple stats actually from our men behind the desk.
Oh, go for it. What you got for me?
Absurd hasn't lost a single map in the finals. This is, of course, excluding WTS, since December.
That's quite a feat for them.
This was when they still weren't really a solid roster either. This is when they still were facing off against the sister team that went against the name The Absurd.
Oh,
so
yes,
keeping that in mind, this is a very similar situation. This is a team that has knowledge against the Absurd. This is a team that has that insider knowledge that can be used against them. And this is potentially where we could see, if not a set, at the very least, a map taken off the Absurd. And if it's ever going to happen, I think that this is the strongest map for it to happen on.
Why?
Just the map pattern itself here makes it a lot harder for the Absurd to out-rotate Risky Business. There's only so many strategies that they can use against Risky Business, and unfortunately, when they run out of them, Risky Business, if they keep the same team fighting prowess that they had in map number 1, they're just going to absolutely destroy the Absurd, I feel.
I hope they can keep up to it. It's quite a feat to do that, but the Absurd have also had a map to understand the way their opponent is playing. They have had some time to get used to it, and they also can understand what Backpack has been planning for in order to counter them out or in order to exploit certain weaknesses. So, with that in mind, do you think the Absurd can also react quick enough, or rather recover and adjust quickly enough to just kind of take that back from them in map number 2?
You see, this is something that some people in the chat might debate me on, but the problem is like, right now with the Absurd, and this is going to be a bit of a mean metaphor, but basically like, the Absurd is like the spoiled kid that just got told no for the first time. And right now they can't handle it. Like the Absurd can't even right now. Basically, they can't handle the fact that like they just lost a game, or they almost lost a game, and because of that, they're not used to losing. This was a big key as to why they lost WTS. And if they still have that issue that they had at WTS, where they failed to adjust due to their issues against the stronger opponent, then we could still potentially see just as strong, if not as stronger, Risky Business here on this map.
Ah, so you're thinking they could go the other way. That's interesting, because they haven't had the experience.
Yeah, they don't have, because they don't lose, they don't know how to deal with an opponent that is better than them at team fighting, which I think is going to be the big key here. But anyway, guys, we've got some action on the table here. Magnemite is getting absolutely destroyed back over here at the waterfall. Absolutely beautiful engagement with the Absurd. Might have just proved me wrong with that point, but regardless, this is going to be a great start for the guys on the Absurd.
But all the way down at the core, we do have a 1v1 with Anya on the way to back this one up. At the mid, looks like we're going to have an overmatch there, where we're going to see the Absurd able to just take on K's solo as he's going to try and hold on to this. Oh, there. We do have a 2v3. Sunfish able to come in as well, but I don't think this is going to go the way of Risky Business. They don't have the forces or the power on the point, especially now that Nos has shown up as well.
Phantom overextended a little bit though, so they do have a small opportunity here as Fanta ate a lot of DPS there a minute ago, but as you said, Nos' team fight is a very big key. Beautiful Pokeball positioning there from Phantom as well is going to force the guys from Risky Business to get off him for a second there. Select is trying so hard to stay alive, but it's just not going to happen. He's going to fall down, and once again, the Absurd will start to take an advantage because of this.
Yeah, K's on the dirt. You got Sunfish. Yeah, Sunfish is able to actually go back up towards the waterfall, where we also have Mag. So this could be 2 onto the waterfall, 3 onto the waterfall, and they're going to be able to chase off Phantom. Phantom, surprisingly enough, he's been going down quite a bit in these team fights. Do you think that Risky Business has been focusing on trying to just mess with him in particular?
I'd say him and Wakey are probably the big focus targets in these team fights here. They're 2 of the more sustainable DPSs. Wakey specifically is more of a support role. If they can take out Phantom, it eliminates a lot of the DPS, and especially a lot of the more annoying DPS that kind of slowly pokes you. You don't notice that DPS at first, but more experienced players, there's definitely something they pay attention to. And after that, again, especially when the banner is down, that's going to be when they focus Phantom. But they've got to keep in mind that Wakey has that banner too, and that's a complete reset if Wakey is able to get a good enough banner on. So that's
look at this, look at this. Anya's in the dirt, Backpack also down right now. That's 2 down for Risky Business, and only Phantom is a little bit low, but they should be able to keep him up there. He is back up, and that's a huge advantage for the Absurd right now, as they're sitting on 84 points and expecting to even take that a little bit further with those kills.
Important thing to note is Wiki did end up using his banner across the point here, though, in an attempt to try and ensure that Fanta did not go down. That technically wasn't needed, so that is going to be a bit of a waste of banner.
Yeah, but you got the extra resources, maybe. You've got other members of the team.
I mean, it's not a huge deal, but just keep in mind, if we see a team fight where that banner could have saved, like, that's going to be a huge thing to keep in mind for later teams.
I'll keep an eye out for that one, because if Risky Business is paying attention, they might be able to exploit that. Now that we are looking at a little fight, K's going down. That was unexpected. Was Case? Did Case just kind of throw himself away in that situation?
No, I mean, no, he was pretty low to begin with.
Oh, okay. I must have missed the beginning of that because it looked like he was going to be able to get away.
Yeah, it did. I don't believe so.
Okay, now back towards the mid is where it's going to go. The Absurd returning there and forcing again. Risky Business doesn't have any control. They're not grouped up. Although a bit of a pinch is what we might be looking at on the midpoint. But if Anya is not able to force members of the Absurd back towards mid where everyone else is going to be able to group up, I don't think this is going to go their way. Anya's very low and needs to heal up before re-engaging while everyone else is already in the fight.
I think that was that Anya, basically as you said, Anya like engaged first for some reason. I think it was actually Toker. I wasn't actually looking at Anya at the time, but I think Toker found Anya, and because he was overexposed there, it knocked him out of the equation before he really became part of it, unfortunately. And because of that now, this is going to hurt the potential for Risky Business to deal DPS here.
Give him just a moment, though. Anya always stays alive, always able to stay up. But looking at it, we are getting into that part in the team fight where we should see someone drop very low as Nos goes down, even lower. Looks like the focus is going to be onto him, and he's going to start dealing damage.
We're going to see here, too. Anya, however, was able to turn things back around. Dustin is in the downstay right now. 5-gauge trying to come in for a res. Not a lot of AoE cleave, but just enough CC to keep them off of the body. Magic Toker actually going to fall down now, and Magnemite, this is the chance for the red team to turn around. If they fail to eliminate Magnemite, things are going to get ugly here for the Absurd. You are going to see Nos get stomped out now. Magnemite is safe, and because of this, we're going to see the snowball effect coming into play. Phantaram falls into the downstate. Wakey as well as 5-gauge. Again, no banner here, so they can't save those teammates. Wakey gets knocked off. 5-gauge is completely falling back to the core now to preemptively defend that point against a decap from Anya, and it looks like that Risky Business should at the very least be able to get a decap with what's going on right now.
But they're so far behind, like we were looking at before, the Absurd staying ahead in those rotations every single time, just getting those points. Look at it, 250 to 145. They're 100 ahead of their opponent. This is already looking like a 2-0 for the Absurd. Risky Business can do all they want, but they just can't get the points on the board.
It all depends on what goes on right now with what is happening over here at the Quarry. They had an issue last game. It only happened once. They adjusted pretty quickly to this, but it did still happen where Risky Business overextended and cost themselves plenty of lives, and it allowed the Absurd to get a situation back into their control very quickly over on Forest. But if they can spread themselves out to either win or control this point long enough and then retreat back to mid, they can hold on to this 2-cap long enough to get themselves back into the game. Like I said, it's a 100-point lead, but it's still fairly early. It's like we're kind of between the early and mid points of the game right now, so there's still a chance for Risky Business to come back just off a 2-cap, but it's all about controlling their players and either winning for this point or retreating at the correct time, basically.
Well, we do have Dustin heading all the way up towards the waterfall, it looks like, so that rotation is already coming out from the Absurd. They are losing players, though, a lot in these fights. I think if they stop respecting what Risky Business is bringing, they might be able to work on something, although that decap, yeah, like you were saying, not going to happen.
Yep, Bonnie caught on to that. It's a big game for those guys. Magic Toker is going to retreat to mid, but unfortunately the reinforcements from Quarry have already arrived. He now has to regroup with Wakey and Phantaram. Decide what to do from here, as these guys have no way into the site, and Risky Business guys, they're taking the lead.
And they are. Now we do have a 1v1, Magnemite versus 5-gauge, and not a whole lot of gains here yet. They are going to go back towards the Quarry. Magnemite dragging him over there so that he can keep the point secure, but he is starting to fall behind.
Get out of here. This is going to get ugly pretty quickly. Take a look at what's on the way from the red spawn now. Dustin's on the way. He saw this coming, though, so he's going to try to get away, but I think it's a couple seconds too late. However, Backpack is now going to come in to attempt to aid his retreat. Good fear from Nos there. Keeps him inside of the pit, essentially, now, before he gets up on top of the ledge and into safety. Pops off, but again, he popped off his heal, but you're not going to see enough Condi cleanses coming out here. Vaporform pops, but those Condis still dealing DPS, and as you're going to see now, it's great well drop there from Nos. That takes him down, and with all these wells in the area, I don't think they're going to be able to save him. And Backpack might find himself in a little bit too risky of a scenario as well. It's just interesting, actually, to see Backpack going for Quarry. It is a nice response to what just happened at mid, too, as that was decap, but it is interesting to see them now deciding to split themselves out so thinly.
Yeah, but Backpack's going to go into the downstate. Anya is going to try and show up, using a little bit of, there's some cloaking right there, is going to be able to possibly, very, very close to almost getting backpack. Going to have to leave him behind. And that's really unfortunate because a lot of time was used up, a lot of energy and effort in order to just keep him on the battlefield in the downstate for a few seconds more.
That was a big key there for the guys on the Abjure. That was exactly what they wanted to happen. They wanted to try and get as many stragglers as possible, hopefully take them out to prime for this mid-fight or just mid-cap attempt, which has gone exactly, again, the way that the Abjure wanted to. The Abjure had a plan to retake these caps, and it worked out exactly the way they wanted it to happen. This happened just in time, too, as now Risky Business has a lead, but it's only about a 10-point one, so they should be able to regain it in just a few minutes. Keep in mind, though, that, again, you are going to see Anya rotating over here towards the quarry. I think he might be able to just barely get a decap happening here. 5Gauge is going to try to jump onto the node right now, but not going to be happening there, and Anya will secure a decap, delaying the progression of this game by just a little bit longer.
There we go. Right back into the control of Abjure. You were saying those points. For a moment, I was going to hold that against them, but as they just barely eke right ahead of their opponent right now, literally 1 point, it's going to be just neck and neck who can gain control, and the Abjure look to be in that position where they can set the tempo for the rest of this. And if they just don't make a mistake...
Risky's going to try a Lord Rush in a second here.
Really?
Take a look there. Thief's going for front gate right now. They've got notice of this, though, because the Thief's going for a slow kill. The unfortunate part is they don't have anyone with a port ability, no mesmers or anything in the mix right now, so with them taking down this gate, they need to wait. They can't push this outright right now because it's too obvious if they try to go for this just after the fresh gate's been taken down. You can already see the rotation coming out, so if they provoke this with a team fight, I would say they've got maybe about 30 seconds to try and feign another team fight, then they've got to push. The problem is they're pushing into mid right now, and it's going to make this a little bit rough, especially considering that they've got people behind lines now, and they're probably going to see this coming from a mile away. I just don't know if it's going to happen. Abjure might have put them into an unwinnable situation.
Yeah, backpack is down, Magnemite hits the dirt, and you're seeing everyone from Risky Business start to split up. This is not an ideal fight. It's not going their way. They're going to have to find something else. I don't think they're going to be able to get this cap. They've got one member, K's, heading towards the final objective to get those points, but everyone's chasing him down. He's gonna have to leave. He's gonna have to abandon this, and I think that might be...
You've got two more coming in, but they've also been spotted out. Sunfish attempts to roll in here. Nos caught him. Stalagt is gonna re-engage, but this is not happening at all. Unless we can see, again, blue team somehow score decaps on both mid. They got Quarry decap, but 5Gauge can probably resume it in just a second. This is actually a really well-handled situation by the Abjure. A lot of people that are kind of new are like, okay, well, they just won by holding points, right? Yeah, that's true, but they also put their opponents into a situation where they literally could not win the game. This is actually really impressive by the Abjure. Not a lot of teams can pull this off. And essentially what they did is, again, they forced them to a point where, yes, they had to rush for Lord. They had to take that gate down. And even after that, too, the Abjure rotated their players in such a way that Risky Business literally could not rotate in a way that would let them get in without being noticed into their space. Abjure knew exactly what was going to happen, and they have left their opponents with literally no time to go for this boss, unfortunately. They're going to make a feint attempt. There's no way it's going to happen. So once again, guys, very, very well-deserved victory here from the Abjure. They are going to take a 2-0 victory here at the grand finals of our, of once again the North American Go4GuildWars2 monthly finals. And as well, because of that, they are going to be taking home the $1,000 top prize and send home the guys over here on Risky Business with only that second place prize.
Hey, $300, it's still good. And I mean, you finally made one really solid play against the Abjure. I don't think a lot of other teams can say that. They haven't really made us wonder if the Abjure was going to be able to recover and win. I was sitting here I was a little baffled at some points watching people from the Abjure that I've seen just dominate time and time again, just go into the downstate, go down constantly.
Yeah.
So I have to give a lot of respect to Risky Business.
Really good by Risky Business. And I think that now more than ever, at this time of year, just as WTS is starting to ramp up once again with these teams trying to qualify for the qualifiers, it's really, really good to see a team that can come that close to beating the Abjure. Now, again, Backpack himself won't actually be able to fulfill this team. I don't know how the rest of the players are looking eligibility-wise, but if this team can get a replacement for Backpack and solidify itself up, and if I was reading the Twitch chat correctly earlier, they actually did have another member last week that wasn't Backpack, and they came just as close, if not closer, to beating the guys on the Abjure. So if they can solidify this roster, I think that these guys, along with Apex and some of the others, it's going to be a really close battle for the North American spot at WTS Season 3 Finals.
So you're getting a lot of teams that are going to really rise to that level, step up, as it were. And maybe we'll see the Absurd lose a few here
Maybe
and
we'll
there,
see the Absurd finally falter.
But
maybe.
I know we're
They're
holding
so
on
close.
for this
It's
one,
like,
though.
like literally though, it was just like a couple things rough around the edges, like not being able to adjust for the rotation on map number 1 and in map number 2 there as well. They played it really well. Like it really just came down to a couple small, minute mistakes. They're like so small that we really can't even like note them, just because we would have had to catch them happening. A couple, like one player going to the wrong spot at the wrong time, unfortunately lost them that game there. It was super close. And the guys on Risky Business, however, that is the closest I've ever seen, with the exception of WTS, to actually seeing the Absurd lose not just a set, but a single map here at an ESL Weekly or Monthly Cup for that matter.
All right, well, I think that's the props from Blue. Blue, it's been a pleasure to hear casting with you.
Yep. And indeed, it has been a pleasure casting Guild Wars 2 overall, guys. Again, news did come out that this was going to be my final Guild Wars 2 cast, so once again, just to throw it out there, I just want to thank everybody who has supported me over the past 2 years. I've been casting. It's about 2 years and a week, essentially, as of today. Thank you once more, guys, for all your support. I'm still going to be casting, but unfortunately, I won't be here at these monthlies anymore. So thank you guys once more for all your support. Thank you as well for tuning in here at the North American Go4GuildWars2 Monthly. And hopefully, even though I will not be here, hopefully we will see you guys next time at our monthly for the May Finals. Have a good one, folks, and we'll see you later.